Hello friends! Today I'm going to review the Ensley Reign Cosmetics Cold Moon palette. I did purchase it with my own money and I did also buy some singles, and I will review it all for you. If you're new to this channel, you probably don't know this, but the concept on my channel is that I show you the swatches, I show you the looks, and I then will tell you my thoughts about the products. Let's go and let's roll with the clips of the looks I have been creating with this palette. Enjoy! And now it's time for some swatches. I'm sure that people will have this as a pet peeve when they write on Reddit. When I become famous, they will write "Smink bro," and they just can't stop saying swatches. It's so annoying to me. I'm just kidding. I'm so stupid. First of all, I really love the presentation of Ensley Reign Cosmetics products. I know that people are not really into the whole AI thing, but what I'm talking about is more about how it's packaged and how the products feel when you hold them. And I will tell you what I mean very soon. So when you get a palette from Ensley Reign Cosmetics, they are packaged in a very nice cartoon that looks like this. It usually has the same artwork that is on the palette too, which makes it really nice, and maybe you can save it and store other things in it. Inside the box you will see a thick foam that protects the palettes from getting broken during delivery, I would say. And that is really neat. I have found that Adept Cosmetics package their palettes the same way, and I think that's really good. I think that more brands should do that because it's so easy to get a broken palette in the mail, and that could easily be prevented by packaging the products better, like Ensley Reign and Adept Cosmetics does. And regarding the whole AI thing, I know that Ensley Reign are working towards getting more real artists to do their artwork, and I hope that that's the case. I'm crossing my fingers here because I really love the vision of this brand. I love the products, and it's just a shame if the whole brand would collapse just because of the AI artwork, I would say. So yeah, there's that. When it comes to the single shadows, it's really nice because the eyeshadows are packed in very nice sleeves. Some of them are based on the collection. For example, the single shadows that came from the Cold Moon collection had this girl on the sleeve too. I find that really cool, even though that I maybe don't save the sleeves in the same way I would save this kind of cartoon. I use the sleeves to send away single shadows to my friends and things like that. And I actually really love the theme of this palette. It's really cute with the beautiful fairy on the packaging and the mushrooms and the moons, and it's just such a cool vibe in my opinion. As I mentioned earlier, the presentation is really nice when it comes to the Ensley Reign palettes because they feel a little bit heavier than other palettes, and that kind of gives you that luxury feeling, which is kind of important to me, especially when the products are so expensive as they are, because if I couldn't see any difference between this palette and another palette that did cost like $30 or $40, I would never purchase a palette like this. And that's just my opinion. Another reason why I really love those kinds of palettes is because they are magnetic. You can easily pop out the eyeshadows and do your own color stores if you want to. So I'm a big lover of colored eyeshadow. I wear them on the daily, I wear very bold eye looks, and I just love it. But from time to time I want something more sophisticated, more elegant, and that's where the Cold Moon palette came into my life and really captured my interest, because it's such a fun neutral palette, because it's not the traditional cool toned with mix of warm toned and all that. I would say that this palette is mainly cool toned, as cool as you can get. Maybe some of the shimmers are a little bit leaning on the warm side, but not that it clashes, in my opinion. And color story wise, this palette was really something really exciting to me, because I don't own a lot of cool toned eyeshadows, and I have been looking for the perfect grey palette, but some of them has been too generic and too similar in tones, and I haven't been into those palettes. At one point I was almost buying the Natasha Denona I Need a Nude palette, but I haven't yet, and I might still do it. But now when I have this Cold Moon palette, I feel like I can wait with the Natasha Denona palette, because this color story is way more exciting to me. It really tickles my interest. I shouldn't use quotes that I don't remember. I really enjoyed the layout of this palette, because it has one shimmer and then a matte, and one shimmer and then a matte, which makes it really neat to look at, and it's really aesthetically pleasing, and yeah, I just love how it's laid out. But the good thing about this palette being magnetic is that you can definitely organize it however you want to. Formula wise, I feel like this is very consistent to the Harvest Moon palette, for example, the new version I mean. I also have a review up on my channel if you're interested in that palette too. Anyway, I really love the formula. The mattes are super pigmented, but they blend so well. One thing that I'm actually missing in this palette is some slightly darker shades, even darker than the dark brown shades that is in this palette already. And I would also enjoy if it had a more darker green shade in it too, like a military green or something like that. But maybe I will switch over some shades from the Harvest Moon palette and put it to this palette and see if I can make it even better. But other than that, I absolutely love the color story. It's so pretty in my opinion. And I don't know if you can see it from here, but there is a so-called bone colored eyeshadow in this palette, and it's very pigmented, and I actually can use it in my inner corners and give a really cool effect with it. So if you have a darker skin, don't be intimidated about this shade, because it makes a really cool inner corner shade too. One fear I had when I did purchase this palette was that the neutral mattes would be maybe too similar to have in such a big palette, but I have found that that's not the case. The shades are really different, and they are in different kinds of color groups, or what to call it. So the first row is more mauve and purplish leaning and quite romantic. The second row is more grey toned, and the last row is a mix of grey toned and greens. And that's really neat, because depending on the mood you are in, you can get a lot of different looks. So despite that the matte shades are so neutral, you still get a lot of different options on what you can do on the eyes. And of course the shimmers are the star of the show, I can't deny that, and I think that's why Ensley Reign has become so hyped up lately. They have fantastic shimmers, they are really impactful, shifty, and there is a couple of formulas that really makes the palettes even more interesting. It gives you more options, and you can layer and really play with textures. I would say that all of those eyeshadows require some form of glitter glue, because it would just make it easier to stick them on the lids. So if you are a person who don't want to use glitter glue, maybe this palette won't work that well for you. But I think that if you are into those very flaky and sparkly shimmers, you probably know that you need a glitter glue to get the most impactful effect from them. I would say that Cold Moon has 3 different shimmer formulas. It's a more flaky textured formula that is really nice when you smooth it out on the eyes. They are quite creamy. It also has a more drier formula, but it's very metallic and foiled looking. It has impactful shimmer specks in it, and it makes it really interesting to look at. And last but not least, we have a more satin formula. And I have to say that this is the only shade in the whole palette that I'm a little bit disappointed by. It's called, oh my gosh, why did I pick this shade? I will never be able to pronounce this. I will give it a try, but I know that I can't pronounce it. Calicantharus. I will put it on the screen so you can read it for yourself. And the reason why I'm not a very big fan of this shade in particular is because it's a little bit too dry. It doesn't do super much on the eyes, but I mean, maybe if you want a more toned down look, you might like this shade. But what I really enjoy to do with this shade is to layer it with the other shades that is more impactful. When I'm reviewing palettes, I try to do a couple of different kinds of looks. For example, one more simple look, maybe a smoky eye or something like that. And one more graphic look, like this one I'm wearing today, or something even more complicated. And yeah, just trying it out to see what it can do. And the reason why I really enjoy this palette is because you are able to do the graphic looks that I'm really into with just eyeshadow. So I'm actually not wearing any liner besides the black liner that I'm wearing next to my waterline to make my false lashes to blend in more on the eyes, I guess. And let's go back to the shimmers again. I forgot to mention that besides them being super impactful, they also have the most interesting holo specs, so that makes the eyeshadows even more impactful and beautiful on the eyes. And I have to say that Ensley Reign has some of my favorite holographic shades. They are really beautiful and they look so good on lids. They last very long on my eyelids and they don't crease on me, so yeah, just good here. Another big selling point for me with this palette was that I found that it would be really easy to use on the daily, because I'm someone who really uses a lot of colors every day basically, and I go out with my bold and crazy looks. But sometimes, quite often to be honest, I have to run to the store before it closes, and then I don't have time to do my very intricate and complicated looks. So that's where Cold Moon comes into my life. I can just slap on some beautiful shimmers, put a matte in the crease, and go out and run to the grocery store and grab those missing ingredients that I really need before it closes. And yeah, that's the true honesty behind this. And I mean, I still love using neutrals from time to time, and since I know that this palette works so well for graphic looks too, I feel like this will be really versatile and well used for me. It's just a great palette, and now I'm not even sure if Harvest Moon is my favorite palette from Ensley Reign anymore. Right now it's leaning toward Cold Moon because it's so unique to my collection. I know that some people are intimidated about the high price point, and I can of course not decide for you if it's worth the money or not. It's something that you need to decide yourself, to be honest. But for me personally, I feel like it's very well worth it because of the different things that I mentioned earlier. The formula is really nice, both when it comes to mattes and the shimmers. It just brings something different and unique to my collection. And when it comes to the single shades, I got 4 of them. 2 of them are from the Cold Moon collection, and I have to say that one of the shades actually disappointed me a little bit. It's called Frosty Eclipse, and first of all, the eyeshadow is really dry when you touch it, but it's also not as unique as I expected. It's still pretty on the eyelids, but I don't know if it's worth the price. But on the other hand, the other shade I got from the Cold Moon collection, that is called Nordic Breeze, is very beautiful. It's the flaky formula that I really enjoy. It's super impactful and just so stunning. And I will of course show you swatches of those too. They are very beautiful, but if I have to recommend one of the shades, of those shades, I would say go for Nordic Breeze. I also got 2 other shades. The first one is called Pink Lemonade, and that's a very beautiful iridescent shade with a lot of different shifts. It's really stunning and shifty and beautiful. And the last shade is called Fairy Lights, and that's also the more flaky formula. Is so stunning and I can't wait to put it on my lids. So my conclusion is that if you have the founds, you are interested in the Cold Moon palette, love the colors, or you see yourself using it a lot, you should get it. But if you don't see yourself using it, I would skip it honestly, because it's not a cheap palette, I understand that. And when it comes to the singles, I feel like you should watch a lot of reviews, look at the swatches and get a feeling of what the formula is like, because as I said, one of the single shadows I got was a little bit drier, and if you don't like that, you should probably not get that either. And if you don't like flaky shades, you should probably not get the flaky single shadows, and so on. I feel like I'm saying the obvious things here, but yeah, that's how it is. I'm definitely interested to pick up some of the other new palettes from Ensley Reign Cosmetics, and I will probably do that. I haven't decided which ones yet, but since I know that I really love this formula, I don't feel as afraid to pick them up now when I have tried them. And yeah, this was all for this video. I hope that you did enjoy it, and please consider to subscribe if you're into indie makeup, colorful makeup, graphic eyeliner looks, or just crazy people like me. Have a great day. See you soon. Bye bye. Ensley Reign Cosmetics. Reign's cosmetic. They have impeccable. Scratch that. Fairy wings. Fairy. What is it called? So, where I'm putting my nail in the eyeshadow.